Well,
100 years later.
What is coordinate transformation as it was 100 years ago to today?
Let's imagine I want to draw a map with pictures of all the states and the mountains, and then I want to draw the weather forecast, what the temperatures are going to be all over the country. And I do that using one set of weather stations, and I number the weather stations, and you have some other set of weather stations, and you do the same thing. So the coordinates are the locations of the weather stations.
Yeah.
They're how we describe where the things are. At the end of the day, we should draw the same map. That is coordinate invariance. And if we're telling somebody, we're going to tell somebody in a real physical operation, we want you to stay as dry as possible on your drive from here to California, we should give them exactly the same route. No matter which weather stations we use or how we, it's a very trivial, it's the labeling of points is an artifact and not in the real physics.
Sure.
So it turns out that that's almost true, but not quite. There's some subtleties to it.
The statement that you should always have the same, give it the same kind of trajectory, the same kind of instructions, no matter the weather station.
Yeah. There's some very delicate subtleties to that, which began to be noticed in the 50s. It's mostly true, but when you have a space-time with edges, it gets very tricky how you label the edges.
Space-time in terms of space or in terms of time, in terms of everything, just space-time?
Either one,
which is
space or time.
Going to be a lot more important
and
than
Einstein,
any specific model number. Finding the spot where it really sings and resonates with your voice, which is going to be different with a high-pitched female than a baritone male. But the same mic will work well on both.
14?
Yeah, especially when we're talking about the industry standards anyway. Again, they're standards for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why they tend to come to the fore, because, if a recording studio only has to buy 2 or 3 mics versus 6 or 7, it makes perfect sense.
It gave the wrong answer for bending light to the sun by a factor of 2. There was an expedition sent out to measure it during World War I. They were captured before they could measure it, and that gave Einstein 4 more years to clean his act up. By which time he'd gotten it right. So it's a very tricky business. But once it's all laid out, it seems it's clear.